So anyways, I want to say thank you very much for coming out to DNewTech. Isn't this a cool space?
Yes.
This is pretty awesome, huh? I'm going to give him an opportunity to kind of talk a little bit about PracticeSpace, and then I go over, about DNewTech and the logistic, and then we'll kick into our speaker.
Hi everyone, I'm Austin Koenig, and welcome to PracticeSpace. I'm one of the co-founders or one of the directors here at PracticeSpace. No, we're not an auto garage, but we've converted an old auto garage into a workspace, a shared workspace that's really centered around fields of architecture, design, and urban development. So that's not to exclude technology, because we're all pretty tech savvy and rely on some pretty cutting edge design tools to do the work that we do. But we're very much a gathering place for what we consider rebuilders, or people who are doing rebuilding work in Detroit. So we specialize in adaptive reuse. So for entrepreneurs that are working in Detroit, trying to rehab or reclaim, repurpose old spaces for new uses, we assist with that through our incubator program, and then we also run a residency program for young architects, designers, creatives who are looking to get their start here in Detroit and see it as a vocational training program. So every 4 months we're inviting new residents to make use of our space, and they end up working on the projects we line up. And then the third program, which may be of most interest to you, is called Offsite, which this event would fall under the category of. So we also want to make use of, so we also treat this space as an off-site office location for people who are looking for a satellite office. Maybe many of you are freelancers or try to break out of the office ever so often and they're looking for a new environment. So we want to be a home base for people who either need office space, meeting place, or want to treat this place as an event space for different occasions. So yeah, we're happy to host this event, and thanks for something like that.
When did you open?
We opened in September of last year, so yeah, so we're closing in on our first anniversary.
How long did it take you to take it from what it was to what it is?
Right, so actually, in far shorter time than you would imagine. We ended up getting keys in August of last year. So we had 3.5 weeks to build out the space in terms of furnishing it and building out the furniture you see here. So luckily, almost everyone on our team is an architect or designer, so we were able to design and build the space ourselves. We were under the gun, so I mean, we definitely felt the pressure to get it done because we promised that we would start our program in September. But then we had a lot of volunteers who helped us with build out the furniture at the last minute. But then prior to that, there was still some major building renovation work that needed to be done. So the garage doors, HVAC, some of the electrical needed to be upgraded. So that happened back in May. So it was really, we were dealing with a tight time frame. But we pretty much bootstrapped it to within our time. So.
Can't imagine how much heat you're going to have to run through here in the winter time.
The winter time is a little, it's not the most all-insulated space. But it's nice. The summertime is the best time because we can kill the AC. Well, we do have AC, but we try not to run it. But with the garage doors, you get a pretty good breeze. So, and this is a pretty quiet neighborhood. North Boynton. So.
I was here to meet Don, one of the founders, and I don't know if you guys went into one of those rooms, but it's plexiglass. It's just one of the coolest things. How was it?
Polycarbonate.
Yeah. So I can tell you right now, those I'm using that in one of my one of my office. So it's just a great idea. These guys are very creative. So thanks again, Austin, and thank you for Praxis for giving us an opportunity to be here. So the way the DNewTech normally works, I know you guys used to know, if you've been around DNewTech, we meet the first Wednesday of every month. And we normally have an MC, Milton, but Milton has moved on to do some greater things out in Grand Rapids. So basically, he moved out there, and so what we're doing is we're bringing in a newcomer, Anna Marie. So she is actually with Grind Detroit. So she's is going to be helping us be the MC of our event. So you'll be seeing her name and her face quite a bit after this. The way the DNewTech normally works is that, have you guys all been to Ann Arbor NewTech? Okay, so pretty much it's very similar. Ann Arbor, Doug Sung and his group has come up with a great way to kind of give entrepreneurs an opportunity to present. The reason why we do this is because we know that a lot of entrepreneurs, especially those who have great ideas, they always think their baby is the most beautiful baby until you really share it with the community and with the people. So I think this is just a great way. The way we kind of separate ourselves from DNewTech is that we try to go from different workspace, co-working space, like PracticeSpace, we've been to DHive, we've been to TechTown, to kind of share with entrepreneurs where they can have opportunities to not only start their business, but also come out to work. So that's one reason. The other reason is because we have a guest speaker at every one of our meetings, normally someone like Edward Kim today, who will kind of share and enlighten us more about what's going on in the investment world, what they're looking for, what their portfolio is. Kind of just share with a lot of entrepreneurs like myself. I know that I've always kind of like talking to VCs and investors just because I like to understand what they're looking for. I think that he'll share and enlighten us more about that type of world that he lives in. And then we have 4 to 5 presenters. These are entrepreneurs who are starting up. They might have something that's early stage, while we have some that are already beyond the early stage. But it's an opportunity for us to kind of listen and kind of learn, but also give some feedback. Because as we all think, we have the greatest idea, but I think once you share it, you're going to get a lot of ideas and thoughts that you didn't think of. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Anna Marie, and then what we're going to do is we're going to have our presenter, guest speaker, speak, and then our 4 presenters, and then afterward we'll have network section. But one of the things that we do want to ask everybody is if you have an event that's coming up, please share that with the group later on. That's one of the things that we'd like to do, is just so that way we know there are other things that are going on here in the startup community in Detroit. So this is her first console. Let's be gentle.
Does this involve a presentation?
I'm sorry?
No.
There isn't.
Okay.
No, I've got my very technical thing going on right here. Notebook, pen, and sheeting. So, all right, so my name's Anna Marie. Thank you so much for having me. Like you said, be gentle. I've never done this before, so it's going to be rough. Edward Kim is our featured guest speaker tonight. He is a CEO in residence at Spartan Innovations, and he also leads a venture accelerator called K5 Ventures. He's a busy guy. He spends 2 days a week in East Lansing, 2 days a week in Ann Arbor, and 1 day a week in Detroit. He is particularly interested in new technology and helping them get commercialized. He likes software, green technology, healthcare, big data, and analytics. He likes to work with up-and-coming firms to help them launch, and he likes to partner and mentor them in order to help them get up to scale. And he's a fighting Irishman as well as a Sparty. And one thing that you should know about Edward is that he loves to travel, but technology is really important to him because he gets lost a lot. So if we could have a big round of applause for Edward, that would be great.
So I have a PowerPoint presentation. Yeah. Well, this is even way too LinkedIn for me. Wow. Do I get to control it?
Yes, you just. That's cool.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Oh, okay. So before I get on my soapbox, I like to tell you a little story, and after that, I like to make this more of a interactive presentation. There are a lot of smart people out there that can give you a lot of advice. So I touch upon things from my perspective, and you can ask me questions as well. So let's make this a little bit more interactive. So a couple of years ago, I was in Milan. I was in Turin. Italy. And the reason I was there was I was launching I just started with a group of folks and decided to do a really crazy thing. For me, for the second time, was to start a new company. It was a tech startup, it was a software startup, and our idea was to, if we can digitize the motion, especially industrial setting, then we can capture the data, and then we can start showing it and show them what's going on and what you can do in a much more preventive or proactive manner. So that we thought it was the best idea since the beginning of time. So of course, when we started, everybody who talked to us, they loved the concept and idea. And of course, year went by, nobody bought a darn thing. So finally, we did some pivoting, and we were finally able to launch. And finally, we convinced one of the Fortune 500 companies to try our software, and it was going to be a paid pilot. And lo and behold, it was in Italy. So I thought, shoot, I can't sell it in Michigan, but I'm selling in Italy, but there's the worst place to be. So I was feeling pretty good. So the launch went pretty well, and it was running, and I thought, you know what? I'm feeling pretty good. I feel like a badass. So I decided to, from Turin to Milan, when's the next time I'm going to come to Italy? Because next time, hopefully, it will be someone else coming here in the the larger project. And I decided to take a trip to Milan because I always wanted to see the Last Supper, the Da Vinci's Last Supper, right? So from Torino, so I was thinking, okay, I'm going to get a souped up F500, right? And in Italy, because all the cars are small, so they look like freaking Mustang to me, right? So I got it. It was souped up, and I was thinking, okay, I haven't driven a stick shift in probably 20 years, but I'm gonna get on, drive myself to go see Il Duomo, as well as which is a cathedral, because I'm a very good Catholic boy. So decided to go to the cathedral as well as going to see the Last Supper. So I was feeling good, and then I go to Milan. So I went to bed, and of course I had someone from ITT Italy to reserve a car for me. So I'm thinking, okay, it's gonna take about an hour and 20 minutes. About 1.2 hours to get there. Pretty direct from Torino to Milan, and more than likely I'm going to run into some beautiful, belladonna, and sipping a little cafe in an alley. So I thought I was feeling pretty good. A good-looking Korean guy, what the heck, right? So it was all good. It was just like how my implementation was going. I thought I was doing pretty good. So I got up next morning and went to the rental car place. Instead of a Super F500, I got Panda. Not only was it a Panda sedan, it was I don't know what the heck do you call it. It was like that's exactly what I thought. I'm going, okay, so I got it. I'm going, what the heck happened? But they said that's in the car. So great. I'm an entrepreneur. I can think on my feet. I got it. Put that in the reverse, and I'm thinking, geez, I can't put this in the reverse because here in the US, all you gotta do is do this and do that, right? But every car there has a special way to put the gear shift into reverse. It took about 20 minutes to figure that out. So I got on and trying to get on the highway, and of course I was flooring it. I'm going like 20 kilometers per hour, right? So, oops. Okay. So what happened? Oh, okay. So this is a little bit different platform. So what happened was that I started, and what you're going to see here, because I hear a little technology glitch, but I'm going to do a little dance. What I thought was 1.2 hours, I ended up driving, and I realized it's a toll highway. And they're all going about 80 miles per hour. Nobody gives a shit how slow you go. You're from the US driving stick shift when you don't know, right? So everything in Italian. Try to figure out there are the specific aisles you gotta be in. The lanes you have to be in, and you have to have a specific change, of course. So that freaked me out a little bit, the first one. But by the fifth one, I was pretty good at it. So what you're gonna see is I started going like this. I'm driving and circle, exit, loop around and off, and going back to get back on E64, 84. And went to town of Novara for no other reason, for the sake of just trying to get more change. And I got to Milano. I got to the city, and I realized that, wow, everything looks exactly the same. right? So I had to go to find this little church that the Last Supper was, mural. It's actually a mural, right? And I couldn't find it. So I'm circling and circling. So 2.5 hours later, I'm sweating because you have to reserve the time slot. So I'm thinking, God, I'm gonna basically use my negotiation skills somehow weasel my way get into the cathedral. So, this is actually, so what you see is I finally found the parking spot. Actually, on my laptop, this looks fabulous. It's a finger. Right? It's an upright finger on my laptop, but here it's okay, but I think you get the message. So I finally got to the place after about 2.5 hours, and I found one spot, and I parked, and I'm thinking, okay, shoot, I gotta get out. And I got out of my car, and I looked up, and there was a gigantic bird. And I'm thinking, this is exactly how my day is going. This is awesome. Even in Italy. So my trip or journey to Milan, it wasn't going as smooth as I had envisioned. But what the heck, I'm there. Whether or not someone's flipping the bird, right? So, and by the way, this statue is actually called Love, L-O-V. It's right in the middle of the financial district. It's like Italian Wall Street. So go figure. But at the end of the day, I ended up seeing some of the most beautiful things I had ever envisioned. Right? I saw the Last Supper. Oh, by the way, all my pictures I saw of the Last Supper, that right under Jesus Christ, there were feet. If you look at the picture drawing, but when you actually go there, somebody had a foresight to just drill right through and put an aisleway there. So it's actually destroyed. So there's a doorway. So I didn't know that, but went to Il Duomo, got to the roof of Il Duomo, beautiful, and the world's first indoor shopping district. I forgot what it's called. Emmanuel, I think is what it's called. So at the end of the day, it was awesome. Of course, I got lost, but it's okay. But it was incredible. So this, once again, on my laptop, this is a beautiful picture. So if you tilt your head, I have no idea what this is, but I found it, right? I found it. It's, but I thought, from my perspective, I think it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It's you can't really describe it, but something about it is just oddly attractive, at least to me. And to top it all, somebody put a nice little around the neck, a gigantic citrus to make it smell even better. Like a little citrus seed, right? So I thought it was kind of appropriate ending to my journey that day. Because that's why when I looked at this, and I looked at it as it's kind of like my company, right? I think it's beautiful. Some may see it as not as beautiful as I think, but at the end of the day, something about it really touches me, right? So I was so I took it from there, and I actually have that picture displayed in my house in a picture frame, and you can only imagine how much my wife loves it. So what I like to do is, I think instead of talking about what you should do and whatnot, I speak from my perspective, because I think everybody's different and you have a different type of business, different type of the ideas, you come from different backgrounds. I think everybody's experience is very unique. And the one thing that I know is that you're taking on a journey that is pretty interesting. So from my background, I'm what you call an excellent entrepreneur. My personality makeup is I'm a bit of ADD, right? But I like the seeing things to an end, and I always think of things. Why? Why do you do a certain way, and think of ways to figure it out in a different way. Sometimes better, sometimes not as good. But my first job out of school was a startup, and this was a few years back. So it's not as cool sounding as it is now. So my parents thought I was nuts because I was supposed to go to work for a bank or a Ford Motor Corporation and work for 40 years and come out with a good retirement pension and such and such. So I did that. It was for someone else, and I enjoyed it very much. But I succumbed to the peer pressure and actually ended up going to work for Ford Motor Corporation. It was everything I thought it would be. I hated every minute of it. But having said that, I was committed to working for large corporations, and because I'm an immigrant, and your parents come here, and my parents came here thinking you got to work for a big company and you have a stable job and be respectable. So I spent about 6 years there. Pretty good. I was what you call a fast tracker. I was promoted about 5 times in 6 years. And I didn't think I deserved any one of those promotions, mainly because I didn't finish a damn thing. But whatever the reason. So what that led to was, because of the fact I was looking for different things, I got involved in what you call a corporate turnaround. So I was one of the few people at Ford that trying to go help suppliers when they're not doing very well. And when they get in big trouble, trying to go help them out, either fix it or find a partner so they can get stronger, or the lesson sort of, terminate the company and whatnot. So I learned a lot from there, because there's a lot of skills that I learned can be applied to startup world. But once again, I thought that working for a big company was what's going to happen. But the luck would have it that I ended up leaving Ford to be a VP at one of the tier 1s, and that company ended up, after a year, going through those, basically went into bankruptcy situation. Basically, I was part of the company that I usually come in and trying to fix. And I loved it, because what that brought me is, as a company that as a person working for what I thought was a stable company, they got into big trouble. What that brought me is, my goal was to save people's jobs, right? So, to make sure to turn this around. So it brought a sense of clarity. There's 1,000 things going on, and everybody's yelling at you. And the turnaround situation is kind of like startup. Only thing that startup, you have hope. Right? Startup is, I don't know what's the reverse of hope. It was de-hope. But what that brought me was a sense of clarity. Knowing what to listen to, what note to use. So you're gonna be surrounded by noise, right? But there's a sense of clarity you get, because now people talk about, do you have a 20-page business plan or something? Are you nuts? You have 2 seconds. Make me a believer in matter of, right? Give me 1 page. Edit. Give me articulate and focus. So from there, that we were fortunate to turn that around, and we sold the company to Delphi. So that was my first taste into, heck, I can do this for a living. So I left and I started my first company, which was a kind of technology. It was more engineering company. And basically, I thought I could build a better production line, the vehicle production line. Right? So, and of course, I'm not an engineer either. Right, so I met a lady, someone just now, and she had a great idea, but she said, I'm not a software person. Don't let that stop you. So basically, I was in engineering business, but I was not an engineer. But what I understood was, because of training I got from turnaround, I understood fairly well what really mattered. Whether it's manufacturing, whether it's engineering design, whether it's the purchasing. So find something learn to ask the right questions, right? Learn to cut out the bullshit, right? And be able to work with people and be able to identify those people who you can work with. Hopefully that person is smarter than you and more talented than you. But at the end of the day, that you are the one who has to be able to put the whole picture together. So going back to my first company, I found some brilliant engineers, and we were able to get some global deployment. We in 3 years, my first year revenue, $5,000, right? $5,000. Second year, $700,000. Third year, it was over 30 million. Okay. So once again, but being an excellent entrepreneur, and the one thing I can tell you was that this is where that being an entrepreneur, that you've got to, if you really believe it, you got to have enough courage to put your situation in a different scenario. I knew immediately, I started the business in Michigan, and immediately I was going to get my ass kicked. So I picked up everything and went overseas. Not that you have to do it, but it's just a situation for me, right? But so it went pretty well, and I missed home. I came back, I sold my shares and whatnot, and lo and behold, going back to being an excellent entrepreneur, I'm thinking, well, I got to go back to work for a big company. I'm in Michigan. It's crazy. I almost killed myself doing this. And when I started, I only had one child, but when I ended, I had 3. I had no how it happened, right? So I figured I got to stick around and at least know what happened, right, to my kids. So, and it turns out that one of the competitors I had overseas was one of the divisions of Fiat, and I was kicking their ass. So somehow through LinkedIn, so LinkedIn is extremely important. I had no idea, but through LinkedIn, some VP of the global VP of engineering at Fiat, one of the Fiat group, found me because as you know what was happening with Chrysler. They found out I lived in the backyard. So I got recruited into the organization, and I said, okay, so to make my parents happy, I went back and worked for the ginormous company, right? And so from the day when I started, I hated every single second of it because nothing changed. Because but they gave me a opportunity to take an engineering group. They had some good ideas. Allow me to turn that into a profit center. So eventually, I figured out a way by scamming, lying, threatening, to allow me to be an entrepreneur inside the large organization. So I tried to make that happen so I could tolerate the existence being part of the Fiat. So which went well. And then I found this technology they had, software technology. They weren't going to do anything with it. And they didn't know what to do with it. So basically, they were using it to debug machines. And I had an idea that we can turn that into enterprise software that can do performance improvement as a diagnostic in a preventive manner. I had the concept, right? So we licensed that out, and that was a startup, our second startup that was part of. Once again, I can't code, right? I can't code. But I had a very clear understanding of what the value proposition of this was, if I could make it happen. Right? So in order to do this, and the common theme here is that I think you gotta it's unnatural to be a startup person, I think, an entrepreneur, because whatever the situation and the background you come from, I think you have to be literally insane. It really takes among everything I've done in my life, I don't know about others because there are people far smarter than I am, who's done much bigger, growing company much larger and exited out, and they're just brilliant. But for me, probably the hardest thing I've ever done, right? But I love it, right? So I love everything about entrepreneurialism, especially the technology startups. That's because they were my comfort zone is. So it takes a bit of a craziness and a bit of a hard work and a bit of what I call a stubbornness and in yourself, believing in yourself to make it happen, I believe. So from that perspective, one of the things that I really found challenging is that I have learned to what to look for. And one thing I found was I can't find ideas anywhere. Because as Anne already said, that I'm a CEO in residence at Spartan Innovations. So all the IP that's coming out of Michigan State University, and I also have connections at the UC Denver or University of Pittsburgh, as well as all the good ideas some of the early stage entrepreneurs have around this area. So there are some really smart people with really cool ideas. Everybody has one. Some are better than others. It's like belly button, right? Everybody has one, but some are stinkier than others, whatnot. But the hardest thing I had trouble with was finding the right people. So from my perspective, I can work with a hot dog vendor. if I find them to be compatible and I find them to be someone I can engage with and I can work with, that's someone who have my back, because I look at going to startup as a battle, going to the battlefield. Because when I look, I'm in the trenches, and when I look over, I want to make sure that guy's sitting next to me or her, right? So I'm looking for true leadership, and true leadership everybody's different definition of leadership, but my definition is, do you make the other person better? I mean, that's what counts the most for me. There are many different ways, but so the question is, can I help you? Me being here, can I make you to achieve greater, push you harder, help you, lift you up, whatever that may be? That's my expectation from others. And when I see leadership, that's what it means to me from my perspective. And the other is that what I call mental toughness. Because one thing that's consistent is that you could have a built time machine, and everybody's gonna think, oh, that's kind of cool to go back in time. There's a lot of stuff I can do. I've seen Back to the Future, all three of them, many times. I can see a lot of things I can do, but you may find very difficult to find someone who pay for your time machine, especially the first one, the second one, right? So what is that you have that you can convince someone to get his butt or her butt into this crazy contraption they may or may not come back from, right? So, for me, it's about the mental toughness, right? But once again, it's about, another way I can describe it is your ego's going to be challenged, because you have the most beautiful baby around the block, and people will constantly tell you, your baby ain't that, not all that, right? So that's about, be able to take that, and that's what I lead to, is what I call so I knew I needed help, because I'm a pretty laid-back guy, although I'm pretty anal in some ways, but pretty laid-back guy. I like to think that I'm fairly fun guy to hang around with, but even I sometimes need a boost or advice. I go see Tan, actually, what you do? How did you survive this little, and how did you find money? How did you go find someone, or things like, something I'm doing is not clearly coming through, so, you network, right, you find, and the great thing about this area is that there are so many professionals, whether it's Detroit or Ann Arbor, East Lansing, that has done it, or give you a lot of ideas from different incubators, accelerators, and all the smart zone, right? And it's almost like you get paralyzed with all the advice. And a couple of companies, actually one of the companies I'm part of, I decided to be part of, is that sometimes you get paralyzed. Because at some point you're gonna find out, you gotta figure out a way to filter out all the good advice you're getting, right? Because some of these good companies, good ideas, were getting killed by so many people giving brilliant ideas, right? 5 minutes? Okay. So,
I didn't do that.
what happened? You have like magic. It's okay here. So, it's something that's extremely important for you, because your time and their time is very valuable. So one of the things you want to find out, figure out, and identify a champion. I mean, they call it advisor and whatnot, but really champion, someone you can identify with. And if you can't filter out some of the ideas and advice you're getting, keep talking to people, but have some clarity in terms of what you need. So what I mean by that is, if somebody, for example, one of the favorite things I say is that you are what you do. Right. So what that means is that I talk to a lot of people has come to me about, they can promise a lot of things or tell me advice and whatnot, but you find out soon there are a lot of people who are going to give you the service, right? But at the end of the day, some of who you are is some of your behavior, some of your action, right? Because you can't lie all you want words, but at some point your actions become who you are, and that applies to people you're meeting, right? So sometimes you have to watch, you have to learn to evaluate and assess kind of relationship, that kind of person that is by not just listening, but actions, and how that gives you it's a telling sign, right? So for me, that of all that is from my perspective is going back to is about the people, not only potentially your partners, potentially someone you will invest if you're looking for, your advisors and whatnot, and you have to develop some criteria for yourself that you feel comfortable with, the kind of people you want to work with. Okay, so, and what I'm going to leave with you before I go to Q&A is the fact that as you guys have brilliant ideas and whatnot, and one thing that you want to ask, one of the questions you should ask yourself is that, do you want to be the king, or do you want to be rich? Right? King can be a rich man, or a queen can be a rich person, right? But it's, that should tell you what kind of business you want to have. Do you want to have a nice small company that makes good money and be a small company? Or do you have a small company now, but your goal is to have $1 billion exit? God bless you if you do. Right? But that tells you immediately in terms of kind of investment you look, kind of people you want to get advice and support from. So think about it. Do you want to just control your kingdom? Right? Or do you want to be rich, which means that by sharing early, that you want to be own a 20% of a much larger pie, or do you want to own 100% of a somewhat smaller pie, but doing just as good? But one thing that I know, and everybody's going to tell you this, but it's kind of cliche, but I tell you anyway, 100% or zero, right? So that's all I have. So if you have any questions, shoot it right away.
Usually this is where you guys can drill with questions, questions that you guys have meaning to ask. So I just want to know, did you crash that car?
I didn't actually, but what I did was I got lost after after I got here. I started walking. And I did not have the smartphone that was working in Milan, so I went right into the hotel and got the tourist map. You know what I'm talking about, the cartoonish map that shows you the area that you're in? I actually walked out of the radius of that map, and I couldn't find my way back. And once you leave the middle area, the English speaking, and I finally found the shop owner who kind of gave me direction almost into the back into the map area. But I have to be honest with you, I did something that's too embarrassing to say, but I share with you anyway because you guys are my good friends. I called my wife, and you think, oh, she must be at the hotel in Milan. No, she was in Michigan. So, and I said, hey Janet, I'm at the Via Piazza, whatever. And I'd like to get to this little area, 2 more streets, or find my way back to. If you go on the Google map, you can see this one. It's giving me the finger. So I have to get there. So can you kind of guide me? How far am I? And the first thing she said was, "Oh my gosh, are you okay?" But that's not what she said. She said, "You dumb ass." How can you call yourself a tech entrepreneur? You can't even find your way. So it was. I still get crap for it, but so that was. So I didn't crash my car, but I crashed. My ego was pretty much. Yeah. So.
All right. Any questions?
Yeah,
Okay.
so as far as what's going on now in the city, you got a lot of people with a lot of good ideas.
Yep.
And everybody's idea is the best of all, right? So you see somebody you want to partner up with, but yet they're focusing on their idea. Should you, try to get them to convince them to come on your end? Or should you, if somebody is busy doing their own thing, should you keep it moving, not wasting time? Like how hard was it for you to find partners when it
Actually, it probably is. It's probably the hardest thing that I have to do. So first thing I do is one thing I have learned, and I learned this in a very expensive and painful way, is that you cannot. It's very difficult to. You don't want to say that person is wrong. Because, yeah, actually, I'm not smart enough to know he's wrong or right. But but what I try to do is frame it in a manner that, because I always I'm going to use a kind of football reference here. I always focus on the game plan, and the end result for me is to win. Right? It's all about playing to win. So from my perspective is that for me there are many different. I designed out 60 plays for the game, right? So whether it's a good idea or bad idea, I don't know. And one of the things I want to determine is that this person that focuses on the every play as the means to end it all, or can that person keep an eye on the real objective? Because most people I run into, I think it's especially the inexperienced startup entrepreneurs, that you run the first play and it didn't work, you panic because you really haven't put a good thought process putting a game plan together. So because every play, you basically you're constantly adjusting and panicking every time. If the sweep Y didn't work, then you freak out. So one of the things that first thing I try to see in the individual is that, their idea could be great, but I'm trying to find out, can I help working with that person to make something out of it? Can I win the game? Or is this something that is very pretty, but it's just not going to be, sustainable, I would say, because you're constantly shifting, and, you're panicking after every play. So for me, because I thought this through, I knew, from like a plan A, plan B, plan C. So first play doesn't work, I have different ways. I'm gonna get the first down no matter what. I figure out a way. So, that's how I look at it from my perspective. So I think it really works in trying to convince that person. So what I try to do is that frame my assessment in that perspective and try to leave the breadcrumbs for you to help you see my perspective. Sometimes there's good, sometimes bad, but because I can't say you're wrong. That person's wrong or right, because I don't know. Right? But I know, what I do know is that there's a method. You have to have a clear vision of what you're trying to accomplish, and the game plan that's attached to it. With the understanding you're going to change the plays in the game plan, right? So you're not going to go run up and off tackle every time the guy, they're defensive, run defense really tight, so you're going to pass sometimes, right? But that's not really changing the game plan. That's just part of the game, right? So did that answer the question?
Here in the back.
Do you have mentor moments within the week that if people wanted to meet with you, or? And where are you based out of, since you're in the place?
I'm based out of Southeast Michigan. I do. I'm in Detroit at least once a week. If you want to grab a coffee, because I love roasting plant downtown Detroit. I'm obsessed with it. So if you buy me a cup of coffee, you probably get my attention.
And one more over here.
When you initially started up, did you need a lot of outside capital to initially start up, or to carry you over through the first year? Because you say you made like $5,000.
Yeah.
So how many cycles of funding did you have to go through to get to that point where you started to go up?
Okay, so I try not to. So everybody has a different opinion on that. I try not to. The first one I was learning, right? And so I actually started a company with $5,000. So basically, $5,000 I made that year. I was doing great. I had 100% return on my investment. But eventually, so that business was that we were able to find some angels and some, I I didn't work with the VCs. It wasn't a VC fundable company, but worked with some private investors who helped me get some line of credit. And because of the projects I was getting, it was fairly large, so I used that to do some what you call mezzanine finance or asset-based financing. So to get the cash flow. That's the first one I did. So that's what I did. And I got
your letter and where they gave you money or something like that.
I had a purchase order.
Okay.
I had a purchase order. Yeah. Now, second one was so it's the second the one I just recently came out is a software business. So I have learned, right. The first one was very capital intensive, and it nearly killed me. And the second one was software. It's a little easier. So my goal, to be honest with you, I had a different CEO, and he raised about $1 million, and he blew through that in 6 months. So the investors panicked, and so I took over at that point. So I looked at it from kind of starting, basically I was starting from another turnover, and just basically starting from nothing. So I tell you what, raising million from zero is much easier than you have million and you lost it trying to raise it again. That's a lesson I learned. So what I tried to do was get a little bit, so there's a lot of funding available now that didn't exist 10 years ago, 5 years ago. So you should be, there. So I started with, what I started was, I started going to, I think GLEQ, and I think it's called MyQuest now. Or I actually decided the one thing I absolutely hate is doing business plans, and I, decided to, what I thought was prostituting myself by going through business plan competitions, and I started winning. So I started with winning 12,000. I went to another one, the 125. And so that kind of, so what that did was also I started getting noticed. So money was okay, but they getting noticed. Then I landed a pilot job so I was able to get $250,000 from a private investor that didn't want to stay. Then I won a pre-seed fund for $250,000 to match it. So that was about $500,000. And software, $500,000 you can do a lot with a software company. Right, and then after that, then I figured I did not want to be the king. I wanted to be rich. So because being a king in a house, I thought being rich in a castle was better. So I went and started pitching my ideas to venture capital group. I was fortunate enough to get some term offers.
All right, so thank you.
I want to really thank our sponsor, because our sponsor is the one who kind of help us provide us the sponsor to fund the website, maintain the website, help us organize the event. So that sponsors include Start Garden out of Grand Rapids. If you're not familiar with Start Garden, they are out in the Grand Rapids area. It's pretty much, they fund projects anywhere from $5,000 each week on 2 projects, and they can fund all the way up to $25,000. It's a great opportunity. If you have an idea, you want to get some notice and some early stage funding, Start Garden might be a way to look at. The other one that we like to thank is also Wisdom and Quick Loan. Wisdom, Maria Lalande, she's one of our organizers here, assistant organizer. She's done a great job in helping us not only getting a lot of entrepreneurs involved in a lot of the startup events, but also with Wisdom. They're always looking for startup companies who have ideas, and being able to give them some fund to kind of do their acceleration program with Wisdom. And then we have Kidpreneur, my company. So we basically teach kids age 7 to 13 about entrepreneurship and coding. So we've been starting that back in August, and we're ramping up on that. We're based on Wixom. And then we also want to say thanks to Mid-Michigan Innovation Center out in Midland. They've actually helped sponsor this event. They've got a lot of I would say, classes and workshops that goes around the state of Michigan. Ken Kowski is one who runs the Mid-Michigan Innovation Center. So look out for them. They're mostly events that held out here in the Detroit and Midland area. So between all of us, thanks for coming out. I think then now we can kick and to our entrepreneurs.
All right, so our first presenter tonight, now let me make sure I have this right. You get 5 minutes, right? And then we do some questions?
5 minutes, no more.
Okay.
I got it. 5 minutes presenting, 5 minutes questions.
All right. So first up, we have Julia Winter. It's OChem Prep, which is now morphed into OCP Games. She's doing mobile games for Organic Chem, and she is a teacher at Detroit Country Days. So she hasn't quite launched yet. They're a year old, and they originally started as an e-learning company. And her goal is to scale her teaching so that she can reach the masses, and she has a global focus. She wants to make sure that everybody can get the same quality and caliber of education that the kids are getting at Detroit Country Day. So, Julia, if you'd like to come on up.
We have one little problem. I have embedded videos in my PowerPoint, and they won't go on an iPad. Yeah, so I'm not exactly sure how to. They're so awesome too. I got these great little videos. So Aaron is going to run it, but I was just going to see if we could just get the videos running on this sucker, and we could see that. So anyway, each year 1 million students take organic chemistry in the U.S. On average, $4,000 at a private public school, way more than that at a private college. The problem is 50% of those students will fail. So that means organic chemistry is a roadblock, just standing in the way of students progressing in careers in science and medicine. So we reached out to students, and I know it's not going to work, but we'll see. We reached out to students we didn't know to hear their experiences in this tough class. Let's hear what they have to say. I know it's not going to work. It's booting up. Anyway, I have 3 really awesome videos that I got. I just put a Twitter blast out. I went to Startup Weekend, and the first guy, Andy, he's sitting right there. He was at Startup Weekend. He said, I'm a computer programmer because organic chemistry was too hard. And the next one, Pre-Vet Life, I think she's in Kansas. I'm not exactly sure. She just did a selfie video and sent it to me over Startup Weekend and just talked about how much time she spent to get through organic. And the third guy, Dr. Arbust, he actually used to be Master of Sleep. He was in LA, moved to Boston, sort of pre-med guy, and he talked about intuition and organic chemistry, but they're awesome videos that we don't get to see. But anyway, it's a struggle. So organic chemistry is a problem, and it needs to be solved. So this is the story. I'm Julia Winter. I teach at Detroit Country Day School, and for 20 years I teach college-level courses, AP and organic chemistry, in class sizes of 12 to 16. So I can give kids near instant feedback as they learn chemistry. My kids have great success in both AP Chem and Organic Chem. So the question is, how do you scale that kind of instant response to students everywhere so they can have that kind of success? That's my goal. So the answer we have are OCP games, OChem Prep games. So I'm going to show you one of them. The third guy in the video sequence talked about intuition. Intuition in organic chemistry is determined through the use of mechanisms, which I think of as the language of chemical reactions. Now, our first game, did I miss that? Yeah, Melanie Cooper of Clemson University, who's now at MSU, did a study, and she found that if you are fluent in this language, you are 10 times more likely to succeed in the class. Our first game is called Cyclo-6. It's the mechanism game. It spans the breadth of the curriculum, the whole thing, as puzzles. Okay, so what's a mechanism? That's a mechanism. If you understand those areas, it makes sense. If you're not fluent in the language, it makes no sense at all. So we're going to watch Aaron. How are we going to do this? We're going to do this. We're going to watch Aaron play one of the puzzles of Cyclo-6. It's Startup Weekend. They built me a prototype of Cyclo-6. SimmerDesigns.com. Okay, Simmer was my video. So, like any great game, there's no wrong answers. There's a lot of answers, and some are better than others. So, this is the demo they built me. Okay, so if you look, when you play this, you have a full tank of energy at the top of the screen. Every move he makes will deplete the tank a little bit. I bet you're not going to have sound, are you?
I don't have sound.
Ah, so good. He has this like when he does the wrong move. And oh, you really suck. Yeah. But anyway, that's my demo, and it's really good. If you want, we can play with it after everybody's done from Startup Weekend. So, oh, don't worry about it. Let's go back to the don't worry about it. So anyway, how do we take Cyclo 6 and scale it to the millions and 10 million students worldwide who need this? Well, we have 3 different sales channels. I could just talk. Okay, we have 3 different sales channels. We'll sell direct to students with Apple App Store and Google Play. We have a partnership deal in the works with PerkinElmer, the maker of ChemDraw, has extensive reach into college chemistry departments, and we'll license our product to publishers and test prep companies. And that Cyclo 6 is the only game we have in development. Aaron here is the chief programmer in a game called Chairs that should be out in July. He'll be at MIT in the fall. He's just graduating from high school in the next couple weeks. Future growth of the product, just so we're not going to stay in the little niche organic chemistry market, we will build more foundational chemistry, Gen Chem and AP Chem, and build a platform of interactive games from grade 7 through 16. Oh, keep going. We reached out to Newton, the learning analytics company, so our games will be truly at the forefront of game-based science education. And we're going to save families thousands of dollars, and they're going to be beautiful and fun and designed for everyone to play. So
right,
that's the goal. Okay. So anyway, there's my team, and there's my contact information.
All right, any questions for Julia?
Yeah. Maurice.
Yeah, I was wondering, there's a website called Khan Academy.
Yeah, they're my indirect competitors. Something that they don't have to make money. You know, they just, actually people have said, just call Melinda. And I'm like, I'll call Melinda. I'm like 2 calls away from Steve Ballmer, so I'm 1 phone call away from Steve Ballmer. I'm not ready to use that connection yet.
Oh, okay.
He's spending $2 billion on a basketball team right now.
Is there like a partnership with that, or you're
No, they'll probably look at this and chew me up. And I'm trying. I've actually looked at like Learn Capital, which is one of the VC firms that funds ed tech firms, and they have a lot of Gates Foundation people on their board, and that might protect me a little bit. So they're by far, in my business plan, #1 indirect competitor is Khan, and Sal Khan isn't really well liked in the education teacher community. I just want you to know.
Edward has a question for you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking of something else. Now, I'm sorry, I missed part of your pitch, but would a student or the kids can get credit by going through like school credits or campus?
Well, here's the thing.
Related to the campus-based learning?
Well, what we're doing, I think some of the vision of using ChemDraw, and every time I've shown this to, I was just down at Wayne State yesterday showing it to an organic chemistry professor. The vision of using ChemDraw is reaching the professors and having them add our games to their curricular list. And so we wouldn't give credit. We're like an addition to a textbook. So, and the textbook man, and Pearson knows about us already. I mean, the Pearson people at Startup Weekend were all over my room. So, so we can actually tune, especially Cyclo 6, because it's such a big game, we can tune it to match professors' curriculum, and we can tune it to match publishers' needs. So the nice thing about that game is the way we've designed it, we can tune it, and eventually at the highest level, we can have gamers or players or professors build their own puzzles. And that's through the iPad, the ChemDraw app. That's what we're planning to do with ChemDraw. Yes, Stella.
Hi, Julia. Have you done any testing to see what the results were for students, before doing this and after?
No, but I built a little game last summer with a former student who's now at MIT. She and I just worked for 4 weeks and built a web-based game. And it's a small game like Aaron's game, and I would just hand it to students when I taught in the summer in my class or in my country day class and say, here, you didn't get this, play on my iPad. And all of a sudden, boom, I get it. So that's a concept that is taught like right away at the beginning of organic chemistry. So since Aaron's game, the chairs is going to come out in July, we're going to market that to get some of that data. But I know, I mean, every professor, I've shown them like the pictures of Cycle 6 that we've developed. They are like all over it. Are you serious you can do this? Because we can actually have the player, you can feel the different kinds of hydrogens. And so you're building intuition without teaching it. And every professor that I've seen is like, wow. And it's really cool. Yeah.
I just want to say, probably one of the few people in the class who's taken organic chemistry love this idea. I spent years walking around with notepads and practice problems.
Yeah, and this isn't memorizing.
No, I mean, I have to be at work doing organic chemistry as I walk around, the retail store, going, okay, how does that, how do those electrons move? And
right, and actually, the whole idea is that once you get to a certain point, especially with these mechanisms, an epiphany happens, and it's all easy. And the kids that I teach, I'll pray for that epiphany to happen before the end of the first semester.
And then we have one question.
Okay, yeah.
Your name, OChem Prep, kind of limits you to just chemistry, but obviously there's other scientific
that's why we
aspects, so-
changed it to OCP. And then my kids have been cheesing me because there's this nasty sound called OPP. And oh my God, I'm like, oh, seriously? So we tried to change it, and I'm easy. I can morph that name anytime I want, because as soon as they told me what OPP stand for, I got all blushy, and I didn't want to, yeah. So that's, OChem Prep came from my e-learning company. So right now it's just me, and I have a co-founder just recently, so.
Well, I can see this having an application for physics.
Oh yeah, we have
So,
plans.
Given that the name is limiting.
Oh, I'm okay with
expansion.
brainstorming and coming up with some new names, but right now we're saying OCP games, sort of like 3M, you never knew it was Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing, right? So OCP games used to be OChem Prep, but now it's OCP, but that's a problem.
Thank you.
Okay, okay. All right, so next up, we have Michael Antaran. He is with Marvel Apps. He is the founder and CEO. He started in 2008. He was in the automotive industry, also with Chrysler, and loves technology. And when he started out, he got an iPhone and fell in love with it, and he made one of the first 500 apps in the store. So I'm going to give you Michael.
All right, well, hi, everybody. I'm going to pretty much wing this entire presentation because I didn't know that this was more like a pitch type atmosphere. So I actually came up with, most recently, my company has been doing a lot of work in Rayle Oak. That's where we are. My whole life is now 1 square mile. I used to work in the auto industry, used to go 30 miles each day. Now it's 1 square mile. I drop my kids off 3 blocks from my house. I walk to my work, which is not too far, and I eat in downtown Rayle. Well, doing that for the last 2 years, I got to meet a lot of the owners in Rayle Oak, all the restaurant owners, and there's this one place there that I frequently visit for Mexican food, and it's called Zumba. And Zumba, as it turns out, he's from the same hometown as I am. I grew up in Downriver, and we just got to talking, and I just said, hey, he wondered what I did, because he sees me every day, and wondered if I was homeless. And I said, not really, I actually developed apps. And he said, well, can I help in any manner? You just eat all the time, and I don't see what you do, So I said, how about I tell you what I can do for you. So he said, well, you know, this is what I have a problem with. They just moved across the street in front of Imagine Theater. And they used to have a great location where they would see it off of Main Street, and they would get tons of visits all the time because they were off of Main Street. Now that they're across from Imagine Theater, they're in this parking structure, and their visibility has been limited. So I said, you know, I've been going here since it started in 1999, and I wondered how business was, because even though I see a steady stream, I never saw it as steady as it was across the street. And so I said, you know, I can tell you what I can do for you. So I went ahead and I made him a few things. I made him a beacon. So we actually make software and hardware, and we love to make games. So we love to make games on the go. And that's what Marvel Apps is really all about, is making great games. That's what my team is all about. But we also like, just because I'm in the auto industry, I love solving problems. Somebody always comes up with a problem, oh, I know how to fix that. I know what your problems are. I can find an angle, and really, because I'm from Chrysler, we're always resourceful and trying to make something and fix something with very few resources and with very little money. So I went up to Tim and I said, this is what I can make you, and this is what I can fix you and do for you. So we went ahead and made him a beacon, and we made him an app within a couple days. And so on launch, which was about 2 weeks ago, he had about 500 downloads of his app, and all he does is push coupons as business is, you know, drying up during the day. So at 1 o'clock after rush hour and stuff like that, he'll push a coupon out to everybody. Anybody that comes in the next 2 hours gets a free taco. And he's been seeing a lot of momentum in that just in the last 2 weeks. So I said, you know what we really want to do is, since you're just pushing coupons and you go onto your iPhone and you're pushing these out, what I would like to do is make you this universal coupon. So I started talking to other restaurant owners, and their biggest barrier was trying to get everybody to download their app. Well, yeah, I understand everybody has to download an app to get a coupon and stuff like that. So then Marvel Apps came up with an idea, and it was called, well, we actually dubbed it Carrot. And so Carrot it's a universal coupon. Okay? This is currently in its infancy. It's the only coupon you're ever going to need from this point forward. Okay? So as you walk into and the way it's distributed, it's not an app. It's actually an email content. Okay? And as you walk inside a business, you will get pushed whatever that deal of the day is, or specials on shoes, 20% off winter goods, whatever. As you walk inside these stores that have either an iPhone or a beacon, then we will push you the latest deals of the day. So one of the problems that I always had was I'd go into the Bean and Leaf, and I would love to get a discounted coffee or something. And I went to Yelp, I went to Facebook, I went to all these different apps out there, and they never gave me like a deal at the very place I was at. So I told them, and I said, hey, we can do this. I came up with this idea of Carrot, where it's, you know, that's all we really have right now is a name, but it's actually working in a propane form, where we're actually enticing people to go in to their stores and get the latest deal of whatever they want to push for today. So that's my pitch. It's kind of a roundabout way of doing it, but it's more about telling about Marvel Apps.
How do you make money?
We're looking at, there's a lot of competition in this field. Our difference is we're a universal coupon. You only have to have this one email that's sent to you, and then it gets pushed to your device. So there's a lot of models that we're using. We're using a subscription model, so you can have unlimited coupons that you can push to all your clients or customers for $9 a month.
When you say customer, you mean the stores?
Vendors? The vendors, there's merchants, and then there's consumers. So they can push unlimited amount of coupons to their consumers, or whoever has this coupon, this universal coupon, unlimited amount of coupons they want to push to them for $10 a month is what we're looking at. Or you can do a pay-as-you-go. So if you want to buy one coupon for 8 months, you can do that. But it's all managed through an app, right? So you create your coupon in the app, and you scan the coupon when they come in and make sure they redeem it from there with just that app. It's going to be for iPhone and Android.
Yeah, especially as you see like more and more adoption of this, how are you working to like ensure that you're really driving new business to the clients instead of just like providing discounts for, like if I get it when I walk in, then like maybe I'll just like always walk in.
Right, and that is always a tricky or slippery slope one of the things in doing this is we're building this loyalty program around it, where you do offer these people, especially for restaurants, if you do come in, like in Tim's place, he's going to give them a free taco if they just show him that they're using the app, just so that he gets that word out there to spread that, hey, keep on using this app and you'll get rewarded. He's going to give a half off discount after 5 visits of your entire order, and then after 10 visits you get, full free meal. But definitely right now it's kind of gaining traction in that sense. And yeah, you do worry about the scammers that are out there. In our case, in Tim's case, in order to get that, you have to be at the register in order to get these redemption type things. So you'll always have the beacon that's at the door that gets everybody in the parking lot to come in, but in order to get the loyalty part, you have to be within 5 feet of the register.
Yeah, I just wondered which was, is the thought to have the merchants create the coupons, or your company create the coupons? Because I'm thinking, you build the app so they create it. You don't
we just build the app, and then we just tell all the merchants to go ahead and purchase the app and create your own coupons at will. So, but it's just, I don't know if everybody used Nextdoor before or anything like that, or even Facebook. It's really easy to get this coupon. It's only one coupon that you have to use, and it's going to be used on whatever merchant has this app.
Are you looking at partnering, because you said you're looking at a loyalty program, maybe with somebody like Flock Tag, who's a neighborhood loyalty program?
This is within the last 6 weeks of development. This is really fresh for us, and we're close to launching the app within the next 3 weeks.
Okay.
So, but we're definitely open to.
I teach a couponing class, so I'm all like, ooh.
I'd love to work with you. I'm working with the Royal Oak Chamber right now to get all the chamber, all the 650 businesses in Royal Oak to get this, and that's one of my biggest pushes for launch is just give them the app for 6 months for free, and then they all have it. And as people just walk around with this coupon that's shared via an email or a Facebook link or Twitter, then all they have to do is just walk within 5 feet of the door, and then they'll get, hey, this is a deal for the day.
And Edward,
One question, this one, beacon.
Yes.
So do you provide the beacons to each stores and retailers? Where does that?
That's right. And here's my prototype beacon. It's actually a USB beacon, so you don't have to worry about power consumption. But my real beacons are about a quarter the size. Okay. But right now, the way I'm doing the beacons is you lease the beacons for a year, which is they're only like $30.
Is it Bluetooth?
It is Bluetooth, yeah, full.
and then was there one other question over here?
That was my question.
Oh, okay.
Actually, look on pricing model. How you plan to price this out?
It's really, so the merchants just buy a subscription-based in-app purchase to the app, right? And that's it. They buy pay-as-you-go, so if you want to buy one coupon and last forever, then it's $5. Or if you want to do an unlimited amount of coupons, every month, then it's $10 a month.
Okay.
All right, one more.
So what's to stop someone evil like me to take my car and plug in my laptop and give everyone down the road carrots all day long?
Here's all that. Well, each of these coupons are signed, so they're all signature signed and all that. So the protection is there with regards to replicating it and all that. So if you do, let's say, hijack the coupon, it still has to hit our database. If you create your own database, there's still things that you have to work out there in terms of the signing and everything, but for the most part, it's all secure.
All right, thank you, Michael. All right, next up, we're going to have Megan Pouncy. She founded Vino in 2012. She is a certified sommelier, and her goal is to do wine education and events. She's launching an online education component that's part of her event planning, and it starts on July 18th. Okay, and her goal is she wants to heighten your senses and enhance your wine experience, and she has a great time doing that. So if we could have a round of applause.
I just have one slide.
rest of my story. So, a lot of people love wine. They love the idea of wine. They love saying that, you know, this is the wine that I get with this specific meal. But because we don't always grow up talking about food, understanding what our palate really does for the rest of our senses and our whole body, understanding how our olfactory senses all work together, we don't always have the right vocabulary to pick a great wine. So I came into the wine industry in a roundabout way. I'm actually a designer. My degree's in design and industrial design. And I was living in San Francisco, where most great wine stories start, right? San Francisco. And I had to design a wine bar. And that started my interest in wine. It was still infantile at that point. Fast forward a couple of years, I took a job in Pennsylvania. I was in a very small town called Bethlehem. But at that time, Pennsylvania was the 5th largest wine producer in the country. So, after I got done designing for my day job, and I was also president of the Boys and Girls Club while I was there. So after I finished volunteering, there was always this. And it became a greater hobby than it had been in San Francisco. And I had so much fun going to wineries, going to different classes, telling everybody about wine. It was just great. It just started to grow into a bigger part of my life, and I started giving recommendations left and right, and people loved them. So when I made the choice to move back to Detroit, to be closer to my family and just be back to my hometown, I had no definite plan other than I wanted to take some time and do whatever I wanted. And so I went to culinary school and I got my sommelier certification, and I started Vino Dream back in 2012. The company was not a web-based company. It was just mainly about me going around giving wine tastings, giving small classes, showing people how to really understand wine. I wanted to let this breathe a little bit. I wish we had a glass, but I'm not sure if we have a perfect.
I should have given you a drink.
It's okay. It's alcohol. Let's clean it out.
He's getting your cup.
Okay, here we have another. That's great. But the whole point is when you really understand just simple things about wine, it changes your whole interaction with food, with the beverage. And I love sharing that with people. And I was doing it on a much smaller scale again, doing corporate events, corporate wine tastings. I would get people calling me who just wanted to look good for a great party they were getting ready to throw and say, hey, you know, I picked this wine. How do I hold the glass? How do I do this and that with the wine? So, perfect. Thank you. And so, I decided that I wanted to also expand a little bit. The first way I expanded wasn't quite cost effective. I decided to take some of my savings and then just go travel around the country, and in Italy, not to Milan though, I went to Tuscany and through Florence. That's okay. And had a great time doing it. But then I said, okay, I spent all this money. Let me come up with a way to actually earn some revenue. So that's why I'm expanding to the web. And what I'm doing is offering wine education courses, simple classes, and then we'll have a party. And then you can talk with other people at this big wine tasting. When I say big, maybe 30, 40, 50 people or so. And you get discounts if you take the courses. But the fun thing is that sometimes it's a little awkward talking about newfound language when you're the only one who's studying this. But if you're in a room full of people who've just learned the same thing, you feel much more comfortable, and it's a lot of fun. Everybody can share their different experiences. And so I'm launching my first party on July 18th. I have a temporary site up now. It's at DetroitWines.com. and the new site will be at Vino, but not until July 18th. So if you're interested in coming to a first party, keep your eyes on DetroitWines.com. You'll get updates and ticket information, etc. And that's it. Thank you. So the first question could be, what does this taste like? Does anybody want to ask that? Yes.
So are you partnering with any like vineyards or like kind of local like establishments that serve wine, or is this all?
It's yes and no. There are some events where I will be partnering with. Right now, there's a new series coming out from Michigan wineries called Wine Warriors. I was in Traverse City just a couple of weekends ago, 2 weekends ago, and I'm going to be partnering with them. They're going to work as co-sponsors for some of my events. So yeah, there'll be a local focus at times, but then at other times it'll be more of a just international wine. Yes.
So as an e-learning girl, how do you run your classes?
Oh, I'm using WordPress software.
So is it synchronous or asynchronous? Are they
What do you mean? I mean,
synchronous means it's you're talking to them like
no, it's not lecturing. It's actually interactive. So they are. I'm sorry, I'm not a teacher, so
I know
it threw me off.
Yeah.
But it's well, not that kind of a teacher. I'm a wine teacher.
Yeah, you are.
But yes, it's just basically going through different modules, learning in different ways, voting on different things. So there is an interactive component. People can join in groups, but that's pretty much how that works. Yes.
Now, is there a way that you can put this in app form? I mean, like when I went down to Myers wine aisle.
Oh, isn't it scary?
Yeah, literally, it was, I couldn't even think.
I'm gonna give you this.
But when you look at a bottle of wine, I'm pretty sure they have apps like this, but they don't really talk to you the right way. What I mean by that is, same as if you flip over a bottle of wine, it says it has apple-y flavors and cinnamon-y, and it doesn't even taste nothing like that. Like, is there a way that you can really put in layman's terms how a bottle of wine might taste via maybe an app or some sort of that nature?
Well, an app would be great if I could develop it into an app. I'm not a developer, so I'm not sure what the parameters of that will be, but I do focus very much in the classes that will be offered on understanding the vocabulary and understanding why somebody may say something tastes like cinnamon and you can't taste it at first. Because there's a lot of different things that happen with each wine. Question?
Yeah, I'd like to sign up for your wine tasting course online and pay a lot more up front and have you send me the bottles.
That would be great. Michigan is hard. I did look into that, but it's very hard to ship wine in Michigan. If I were in a different state, that would be much easier, but you actually have to be a winery in Michigan to ship wine.
What about to ship to other states?
If I'm based in Michigan, I gotta be a winery. So I need to find friends in other places to partner with, maybe, if I want to get there.
Could you set up an LLC in a different state?
That's a possibility, but if the shipment is coming from Michigan, it's really hard. You must have some experience.
Yeah, you go up to wine, it's just really hard.
It's very, very difficult.
It's really hard.
So that could be a nice business opportunity there.
Yeah, figuring out the system. Well, or a question. Yep.
So from a branding standpoint, do you envision like, Vino Dream being part of the brand, but you really being the face of the brand, like your story of wine, instead of just, Vino Dream?
Yes and no. I feel like that's a little bit of a tricky situation because if you make the brand about you, people just might say, hey, I don't like her. No. But if it's about what the product is and how it's going to impact your life, how it's going to change you, then I think that's a greater opportunity to connect with people. But what I find is that I've never met anybody who said they didn't like me. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
She's like Ina Putnam from Bowles.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, he was looking for the bar earlier, so I
Thanks for your
All right, our final presentation tonight is Law Studio, and that's Lauren Rose. She's an intern with the company. Their idea is legal crowdsourcing. So what you would do as an entrepreneur, you would post your job. You would indicate what kind of turnaround time you were looking for. In other words, how much trouble are you in? How quick does this have to happen? And lawyers will bid. So you can post your maximum amount that you're willing to spend. Lawyers will bid, and you can choose the one that fits your needs best. So their goal is they're trying to make legal services more affordable and accessible for startups. Thanks.
There we go. Perfect. Okay. So my name is Lauren, and I am the social media and marketing intern for Law Studio. Law Studio was founded by Diana Chen. She was one of my sorority sisters at U of M, and she is actually a recent graduate of Loyola School of Law in Chicago. She's actually studying for the bar right now, which is in July, which is why, unfortunately, she's not here. But I'm from the area, so I figured I would take over for tonight. Okay, so did you know that the U.S. legal market is worth over $300 billion? I don't know about you, but I can think of quite a few things I'd like to buy, like maybe some wine or something along that nature. But you could buy an entire, unfortunately you can't see it on here, but you could buy an entire nation for $300 billion. The GDP of Malaysia is $300 billion. Also, that's over 1,000 Miguel Cabrera contracts. If you could think about a Detroit Tigers team with a bunch of Miguel Cabreras, that'd be kind of fun. Also, that's 75 times the net worth of Dan Gilbert. He's worth about $4 billion, so imagine that. That'd be an interesting thing. But also, unfortunately you can't see it, but the demand for law firm services has decreased by 5% in 2013. So why is this? Why are people shifting away from law firms and using other forms of legal services? We think that the problem is legal work is expensive and inefficient, especially for especially for startups and small businesses. So our mission is to provide businesses with an affordable and efficient way to use legal work so they can focus on doing what they do best, which is business. So how do you use Law Studio, and what is it? You would go to our website and create a free user account, and you would simply click on create a new post. So for example, this is Diana's account. And on here, she said that she needs a partnership agreement. So in the description, she states that she needs a partnership agreement for a new music business with a new partner. So here she lists her budget as $500, her turnaround time in 10 days, and the expiration date for her bid. She can also list the areas of expertise she would request for an attorney. So here we have attorney Mr. John Smith, and as you can see, John Smith attended U of M for law school at undergrad. And also, you can see all of his lists of expertise, so he's got quite a few. Also, you can see how long he's been practicing for, where he carries malpractice insurance, and all the important things. Currently on Law Studio, we offer an email platform, file uploading and sharing, which is important with legal documents, I'm sure as you all know. So it's kind of like a Google Drive. You can simply upload and exchange documents that way. We also offer an online chat. And soon we'll have a video conferencing feature much like Skype, so you can meet face-to-face with your attorney. So you should sign up today because it's free, and you can start receiving affordable legal work.
Questions? Is it thought that it's only corporate and like IP law versus criminal law?
Yes, so it's only transactional legal work at this time, and I think that's what we'll only be focusing on. So everything like revolving around contracts or things like that. Yes.
Oh, now do you verify the background of some of the people providing the services, or is there a way?
So yeah, we ensure that all lawyers were barred in a particular state. So anyone can look that up as long as they provide their bar number. But then we also have a review system. So unfortunately, you can't see it on this screen. But once people use John Smith, they'll have like a rating like out of 5 stars. So if an attorney unfortunately gets like 1 star, people won't use him. So that's kind of like an internal vetting system. Yeah.
Do you take some kind of transaction fee from?
Yes. So right now there is a 10% transaction fee from the consumer, so the startup or small business when they pay. But all the subscription is free right now at this point.
There's a question right here.
How do you verify, or will you be able to verify any of the work quality?
No, unfortunately, that is one of our issues at this point, but we're assuming that with the rating system, if someone is very unsatisfied, they'll give their attorney like a low score so that other attorneys will, or excuse me, other smart startups will not use that attorney.
Do you have a question, Julie?
Well, it's like 99 Designs, sort of. Like, so do you have like a set fee? Do you know 99 Designs? So way you can get logos developed by you post what you need, and designers build your design for you, and they sort of have a set idea of how much they're gonna each service is. You don't have to use that, or you can go more. Do you have a set price for NDAs and all that kind of different thing?
No, we don't have a set price. So, for example, like someone needed, I think it might have been a partnership agreement, and Diana was showing me some of the like background on how it works. And like one attorney bid like $250 and another attorney bid $500, and then that client was able to see how much the attorney bid. So then they can pick from there which attorney they want to use.
Michael had a question on that.
Yeah. So when I was doing a lot of stuff online, I used to use Elance quite a bit, and they would have different professions going from there. In particular, they would have law professions or whatever. How do you differentiate from like Elance if you're familiar with Elance?
Is that more of like a legal document?
No, Elance, it's a electronic freelancing website. So if you wanted to have an architect, draft you something up, then you would put a job posting out there for people to bid. Similar to yours. If you wanted a legal document documented up, then so this Elance is a lot of professions, not just legal. But how would you differentiate yourself or this site from Elance?
So I guess our main differentiation would be that we are just attorneys and we just focus on law. So I guess that would be our main differentiation between the two at this point, yeah.
There's a question over here. And the gentleman in the blue shirt, you have a question?
Yeah, I was going to ask, how do you said you do background checks and things like that. How do you ensure that lawyers are beyond barred, are properly insured,
So they're required to list their malpractice insurance. So like this guy would be carrying malpractice insurance in Michigan. But as of right now, we're not requiring that the attorneys carry malpractice insurance as far as I know. But I know that it's a big issue because if someone is really unhappy and they want to sue them or whatever, they could do that. That would be outside of Law Studio though. That's not in our terms and agreements. So.
Any other questions for Laura?
Where you at? What stage are you at right now? Are you looking for funding? Is she looking for more developers? Is there anything? What's the next stage?
Yeah, we have developers and the website's up and running, and right now we have about 20 attorneys registered, and I believe 30 startups that have currently registered for the site. So as of right now, I think we're still looking for funding and investors as well. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, you can feel free to email me, Lauren at Law Studio, or Diana, the founder. Hers is just Diana at Law Studio.
And if you didn't, it's not lawstudio.com, it's lawstu.io.
Yes.
Lawstud.
Yes.
Great.
All right,
thanks.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
So at this point, what we're going to do is that I want to say thank you very much for all the presenters and also Edward for coming out here tonight. If you guys have any events that you guys know that's coming up, I can tell you right now a couple of things. We have the DNewTech event that's coming up. We're taking July off. We normally take July off. It's the summer break. We come back in August. I think that August one we're going out to Ann Arbor. One of my buddies out there, they actually presented here. Bad enough to not remember his company, but they're based out in Ann Arbor. More information will be on our website. And then we'll be continuing this back in the fall. You said you had a So
Is it okay if I come up?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, it's not my event. It's actually an event in Detroit. It's called Rapid 2014, and it's 3D printing. And I'm going there just as the guy to get some business and see who else is there. But I figured, hey, I know how to get some free passes, and if you guys are interested, I can extend that to you guys.
What's it called?
It's called, Kobo.
It's
called
part of
Rapid
SME,
2014.
it's part of the SME, Society of Manufacturing Engineers
Yes, it
program.
is.
Okay, cool.
It's going to be a lot of fun. You get to see things being built from scratch. It's with all sorts of little gadgets and gadgets, but it's expensive to make a 3D part. But once you're into it, you're hooked. Like, oh, I want to order this online. So it's fun.
Actually, that's something Maurice and I are working on. He's our instructor for, we're looking at 3D printing as one of our curriculums for the kids.
Yeah, someone from 3D Systems sent me an email said I could give you free passes. You're not affiliated with them.
No.
Oh, okay.
All right, so who else?
Here's a couple things. This week is collab week. So collab week. So all the co-working spaces have events going on. PracticeSpace, Grand Circus, Bamboo. So if you're interested in co-working, you can check out these different spaces. They all have events. And then on Friday, there's a free co-working day. So if you wanted to try it out, it's a great thing to check out and see the different spaces. I will tell you, I've visited almost every space, and I think it's really interesting that in the small time that co-working has been here in Detroit, the spaces have to acquire their own personality. So if you go to one space, maybe in the morning, and it doesn't seem quite your cup of tea, try another one out, because everybody seems to already have their own little niche going on. And the other thing is I run Startup Grind, which is a group to educate, inspire, and connect entrepreneurs. And we are having our next event on the 24th, where we're going to talk to Bob Marsh from Level 11. So I welcome all of you to come.
All right.
We're also on it.
Anybody else? Oh, Stella.
So hi, I'm Stella Safari, and I work at Invest Detroit. I'm an analyst there. But I also run an organization called Startup Effect, and we teach entrepreneurship to middle school and high school students. We're having a sort of a mini conference or summit in August 8th and 9th. So we're looking for entrepreneurs who want to volunteer to come and, work with the kids and kind of show them what you guys do.
So you guys got that?
Yeah.
All right.
August 8th and 9th, yeah, this summer. Or if you have any students or children or, anyone you want to send over things to. Yeah.
Roger.
Yeah, once again, if you have an event, post it on the comment section for this event, on the event, and then everybody can have access to it and remember what it is.
Good point. Actually, and then you got, when is Ann Arbor DNewTech? Usually the third Tuesday.
DNewTech will be in a couple weeks,
okay.
On Tuesday.
Third Tuesday every month.
Yeah, go to a2newtech.org. You'll see what sometimes there's overlaps, but it's always a little different.
So I think we're going to just wrap it up. Stick around for networking, and thanks a lot for coming out, guys.
Yeah. Who wants to go slow?
Oh yeah, Roger's always got a point. We got to meet out somewhere afterwards.
Yeah.
Slow's not bad. Actually, I think of it as slow.
Oh yeah.